Okay, so today we are going to discuss about ELK Stack, or we should not call it as ELK Stack as per company now, but it is famous with that name. Now company is calling it as Elasticstack. Okay, so what is this Elasticstack? So Elasticstack has four important components, which is Elasticsearch, Logstash, Kibana, and bits. Okay, previously there was no bits, so that's why it was first three letters of the three softwares, which is ELK. So that's why it is called as ELK Stack, ELK Stack. Okay, now they are calling it as Elasticstack. Now, where do we install what? Okay, let us discuss about this. Okay, and what is the purpose of each tool? Okay, I would be giving very high level purpose for these tools so that it is easy for us to understand what it does. Okay, this you can think of it as database. Okay, so all of the analytics which we are going to do, so we are going to pull logs from many machines. Those logs we are going to store it in Elasticsearch and Kibana, Logstash, and beats. Elasticsearch is DB, right? Kibana is UI. This is a browser-based application which basically reflects whatever your Elasticstack has read, and there you can configure certain rules, or you can basically change the view of your how you want your logs, or you can filter the logs saying that I am interested only in logs during this period to this period and all of that. That you would be doing in Kibana. Okay, and Logstash. Okay, let me tell you one important problem with logs. Logs are generally written by whom? Developers, right? And generally there is no standard for logs. Okay, everyone uses his own way. Every company has its own format. Okay, so since there is no format in this world, whenever you want to read certain fields, you need some software which is intelligent and which can basically capture some fields. These are your production servers. Let us assume I'm just drawing two. Okay, and then I would have one more server. Okay, two, and then three. You can increase them as basically depending on your application. So these are your servers. Okay, in this servers we would be installing. Okay, from the beats we read the logs into a server which has Logstash. Okay, Logstash gives the logs to Elasticsearch, and then we can have Kibana on a different machine. This machine we will access for UI. So all of these three can't be on a single machine. Yes, they can exist. There is nothing like you should have all of these three on three different machines. Depending on how much logs you are supposed to read, you can choose the architecture. Okay, what is Elasticstack? Elasticstack is all about ELBK, Elasticsearch, Logstash, beats, and Kibana. Okay, Elasticsearch, it is free, it is open source, and it is used for text searching. It is very good at that. Basically, previously this was Elasticstack, or we used to call it as ELK Stack, and now company has basically renamed it to ELBK. They are calling it as Elasticstack now. Okay, so Elasticsearch, as I said, it is a database, right? And what is it used for? It is used for text searching, and it is very good at that. Text searching, it is the best thing which you can ever imagine. Okay, and it has built-in search, it has aggregation, and it can search the text very fast. Okay, and it is used by many stuff. For example, we use I'm not sure if you use Stack Exchange. So first I'm going to basically choose an Ubuntu 16 server. Okay, Ubuntu 16.01 is what it is written over there, but I don't have that. I can search it, but let us start with Ubuntu 16.04. If the installation fails, then let us fall back to Ubuntu 16.01. Okay, so now what is it I want to install? Elasticsearch. So this is Elasticsearch. Okay, so these are the different product lines, and as I said, they will have their own solutions around it. Okay, this is the hosted Elasticsearch. For example, if you want already Elasticsearch installed server, and you can go with this kind of solution. But I'm not interested in all of that. Okay, products, the open source Elastic Stack. Okay, Elasticsearch is what we are looking out for. Okay, and then if you go through all of these documents, it would basically tell you how to do all of this from multiple stuffs. Okay, it works with many other things, and you are seeing a download button over here, right? Just click on this, it would take you over here. Okay, so don't just blindly install. Okay, don't just blindly install. Okay, so what we would do is we would go to this get started with, because downloading and installing it is not a difficult task. Okay, so to get the Elasticsearch, in Windows you would have a zip, and in Linux you would have a tar file and all of that. Okay, and then Kibana would have all of this, and then you would be installing the rest of the stuff and you would be doing it. This is all well documented. Okay, but the whole point is I want to basically understand how this works, or what are the other documentations which I can get. You are seeing GitHub docs and all of that stuff, right? So let us explore this. I would go with docs and I would go with GitHub. Since it is open source, all of the code will be in GitHub. This is Elasticsearch's code. If there are any developers who are interested in how this stuff works, you can explore this code. Yeah, but that is out of scope for us. Let us just look into this. Getting started. So what is it saying? Okay, nothing much, right? And then here it speaks about something called as basic concepts. Okay, if you want to set up a cluster, nodes and all of that, how do you do that? And then we come back to installation. Elasticsearch requires at least Java 8. So first point to be noted, first we need to install Oracle Java 8. And then it is recommended that you use a specific version of Java. So anything after that would be good. Whenever you see Java version, anything after that or the same version is always good. Endukante aa version lo unna edo specific feature vaadtunaremo, we never know. Okay, and then basically once you install Java, it is very simple to use it. That's the whole point which he is trying to tell. Okay, are we good? So now what is our first step? Install Java, and you can do this on Windows as well as Linux. In our case, we would be doing it on the Linux machine, which is Ubuntu 16 server on the cloud. Okay, so let us go back to our presentation. Okay, okay, what was the documentation here telling? Java 8 version. It is recommended that you use Oracle JDK, but if you want, you can use Open JDK as well. Okay, so you can choose whether I want Oracle JDK or Open JDK. Okay, so in this example or in this presentation, I have taken Open JDK. Okay, but it is recommended, so it is always better to go with Oracle, but I would be going with Open JDK because the installation is simple. Isn't it? Mali Oracle PPA add chesi Ubuntu lo I have to do it. It is not difficult. You just Google it. How to install Oracle 8 in Ubuntu? Then you would get 3 lines. You have to copy them and paste it, and I'm quite sure that everyone will be able to do that. Okay, so I would be creating this, and I would be exactly following steps which look something like this. Okay, fine. So shall we start? Yeah. So where are our EC2 machines? So let me go with this. So I'll be doing this. Okay, I do this, and I would call this machine as Elasticsearch. Next. Okay, and we will look at what are the ports that are required later, but I would name this security group also as Elasticsearch. Okay, but if you want to play safe, allow all traffic. Anyway, it is our installation. If you don't want to know about ports and all of that, but it's okay. Let us look into it. Okay, launch, and I would be using the same Ansible PEM file. Yeah, but if you want, you can create altogether a different key pair also. Okay, I would remove this filter, and I would filter only for the because there are many number of machines, and I don't want to get confused with that. So what I would do is I would put a filter over here where I would say I want only machines whose instance state is running. I'm not worried about all the other machines. So that is a filter which I'm looking out for. Okay. So I'd connect to this machine, copy this command. I would go into the downloads folder, git bash, okay, and let me become a root user. And before doing any installation on Ubuntu, always safer to update the packages. Okay, in Red Hat it's quite better, but in Ubuntu it is safer to always do this. So Java installation is already, you have to just copy this command, apt-get install open. Fine. I'm just copying and doing this stuff. Fine. Yes. Stop. Okay. So how did I find this location? Is this location is nothing but, okay, you get into the download Elasticsearch, right? Okay, where is it? Download, yeah, tar file. Okay, and then you are seeing deb file. Okay, the only thing which I've done is copy link address. Okay, I get this. Okay, so this is what I have used. 5.6.3.dev. So let us do this one itself. Okay. If it fails, let us fall back to 5.0.0. Let us not worry about it. So to download this, I'd be using a wget command, and then I'd be basically pasting whatever link which I have copied from the internet. Done? Yeah. For this installation to be succeeded, you need to have Java. If you download this before installing Java, it will fail for sure. Okay. And now let us see what we need to do later. Okay. So okay, and then I need to execute a command called as dpkj -i. If you are working with RPM files, you would be using RPM -ivh, right? Yeah. And then after that, the moment you do that, he is saying that Elasticsearch's configuration file will be present over here, and then you go into that file and change the cluster's name. Okay, cluster name is the name which we give it to our machine, and the node's name, the name of the node. Okay, since I will have everything on Amazon, I would initially at least try to give that name, or let me give the public IP address itself, but giving public IP address is not safe. Okay, ఎప్పుడు private DNS name ఇస్తాం, కానీ మన క్లాస్ మన డెమో వరకు మనం let us give a public DNS name, because the problem when you give the public DNS name is, anyway I'll shut down the machine today in the evening. For the tomorrow's class it will not work, because tomorrow I'll be getting a new IP address. So to solve that problem, what I would do is I would create a static IP address. Okay, to solve that problem, what is that I'm going to do now in EC2? I'll create a static IP address. So let us first create a static IP address. So to create a static IP address in EC2, okay, just scroll down. You would be seeing something called as elastic IPs. Go over here and say allocate new IP address. Just click on this allocate, close this one, and what is the newly created IP address? This stuff. Right click and just say associate address, and we need to associate with one EC2 machine. So what is the EC2 machine which we have? Elasticsearch. Okay, what is the private IP of this machine? This is not mandatory to give a private IP address, and then associate. Okay, so now let us get into our instance. Okay, what is this machine's IP address? IP address which we have created, 52. Is this 52? Yes, 52. 52.32.194.200. This is a static IP address which we have created. Let us go to our instance, which is our Elasticsearch. What is the IP address? Is it the same? This machine. So let me close this. Click on connect, and now I need to connect with the new SSH, right? Because whenever a public IP address changes, public DNS also is changed. Okay, so downloads, git bash, sudo hyphen minus I, and then cd slash home slash ubuntu slash pkg. This is our stuff, right? Okay, and now I'll not have trouble because I have a static IP address. Even tomorrow I can use this machine. But if I don't do this step, I shut down this machine, I come back to it tomorrow. Tomorrow I have to change my configuration file again. So since every day I don't want to change my configuration file, I have used a static IP address. Okay, in your corporate world, in your offices networks, okay, you would be using a private IP over here, not a public IP, because all of this will be connected via private IPs. Okay, so what is the command? dpkj minus I, and okay, it says it is basically uninstalled, and it is creating Elasticsearch group, unpacked, setup, and it says everything is done. Okay, now let us follow the slides. Okay, the job of dpkj is done, but our job is still not done. Okay, we need to get into this folder etc Elasticsearch, and we need to work with a configuration file which is a YML file, elasticsearch.yml, and I'm quite sure that quite recently, especially on Friday itself, we have spoken about YML files, right? So vi etc elasticsearch.yml file. Okay, let us scroll down. Okay, so what is that we need to change? Just follow this documentation. Everything is commented. Hash is a comment in YML file. Okay, so cluster name, I would give some name. Okay, since our company, our name, hypothetical company's name is Globomantex, I'm going to name this cluster also as Globo clustering. You can give any name. I'm just following the documentation, that's it. Okay, and then I have to give the node name. Okay, node name is nothing but what? It is a public DNS name of your EC2 machine. For that, I would go to the EC2 machine, select on this. You are seeing the stuff over here, right? Okay. Generally, you would do host name minus F and give the DNS name of it. But now I am giving a public DNS name. Okay. So, where is the file? I'd come to node name. Oh man. Okay. So, node.name is a key, and whatever you have provided is a value. And we have learned about this, right? Yeah. So, done. Now let us see what is left. What is left further? Okay. Change the network.host. Okay. In this file and give your IP address. And after that, increase the memory map count. This we would execute it later. Okay. So basically, network.host we need to give IP address over here. Fine. And what is the IP address of our machine? From this we can make out. But let us find first node dot. Okay, network dot host. This is what we need to change, right? Okay. Home network dot host. Okay. And let me copy the address from my EC2 machine. Okay, 52 dot. I've copied this. I come over here. and I paste it. Fine. So anything difficult till this point? As I said, it is not difficult. The problem is it is engaging. If you miss out some steps, it might not work. It might not even start now also. There is no trouble in that. But we need to read through the logs and understand what is the configuration which you have missed. Because installation of Elasticsearch is not a tough job or not a Hercules job. Configuring Elasticsearch, yes. You need to understand these parameters. Right? Yeah. Now, W. I'm saving this file. And now what is the other activities which he has asked us to do? He has asked us to increase the memory map, and for that I would be blindly copying this command and pasting it. What is memory map, by the way? Does anyone know what is memory map? Okay. Okay. So there is something called as memory map programming. Generally, what we do is um, you would be it will look like as if you are working on files, but actually you are working on RAM. Okay. For example, you want to read from some files very fast. Okay. So what you would do is you would put that files in the memory. Okay. And your code will look like as if you are reading from a physical file. And a file.read and methods lagi untayi kuda. But actually you are not reading from file system, you are reading from RAM. And whenever you are reading from RAM, your behavior will be faster. That's the whole point. And Elasticsearch uses some of those aspects where it needs memory maps. So that's the reason why we are increasing the count of it. Okay. Fine. Okay. And then start the Elasticsearch by using this command, and after that you need 9200 port. But did we open 9200 port? So the first thing is, let us go to there and open the port of 9200. Okay. So EC2 machine. Okay. Scroll completely to the right. Okay. Inbound. Edit. Add rules. 9200 from anywhere. Okay. Save it. Done. Okay. Wonderful. So let us get back to our instances. Okay. And now I have to execute the command service Elasticsearch start. This is the point where it might start or fail. Okay. So let us see what is happening. Service Elasticsearch start. Okay. It has given me nothing. Service Elasticsearch. What is happening? It has failed. Why it has failed? Basically, what it is trying to tell us, where will I find the basic information about it? Because as I said, it is not simple. It might fail. This is a point where it creates a lot of problems, right? Okay. So let us get into the failed folder where we have this Elasticsearch. CD etc Elasticsearch, and let me do ls. Okay. Here I don't see any logs, but let me go through this elasticsearch.yml file to see if there is any information in that which can help me out. Okay. Okay. Path to logs. There is no path to logs. Network host. Okay. Set the custom port. We don't want any custom port to be done. Okay. Come down. Are you seeing anything which will help us right now? No. Okay. So the other thing which we need to find out is where will the default logs of this application will be stored. Okay. So what is the command which we can use to find out where is this application installed? Will this help? Nothing. Where is Elasticsearch is also in user share. In Etsy Elasticsearch we didn't got any information, so let us try our luck with, okay, cd user share Elasticsearch, and let me see ls. Okay, anything of interest? Not really. cd bin, and let me see Elasticsearch, and there is something called as Elasticsearch and Elasticsearch.in.sh and all of that. Okay, but I want logs. Okay, so where will the default logs will be? Where? Okay, okay, fine, and let me go through the logs global clustering dot log file. So what it says, basically, what is the error which it seems like? Memory error. Failed to bound 9300 to 9400 ports. Okay, so let me do one more thing to simplify this. Okay, one error, what I would do is I'd go into Elasticsearch, but I would slightly tweak it, I'd correct it later. Okay, in the security group I'd basically tweak it in this way. Now I would just, rather than this rule, I would say all traffic. Okay, I'd open the ports later, but I'm worried about fixing this error right now, and then I would find out the right ports that are for Elasticsearch, and then I would be writing rules only for that. Okay, ఇప్పుడు నేను చేసిన step ఏంటి? Open everything. Okay, so now let us see if our luck favors us. Service Elasticsearch start. Service Elasticsearch running. Yeah, so what was the failure for us? Port is not opening. And how did I find it out? Did I gone through any Elasticsearch's documentation? No. Logs always help. All right, so I came to know two errors out of it. One was out of memory, and out of memory I ignored it. I've gone into the next error, which was telling that it was unable to bind address which was somewhere in between 9300 and 9400. So what is that I have done? I opened all ports, and now to access it, to see whether it is working or not, okay, I can make a curl request, or the easiest way is access by this. So http, okay, not this, I need to know EC2 machine's public IP address. Okay, instances, you can take the DNS name also if you want, anything is fine. Okay, okay, colon. So what is happening? Nothing. Okay, 9200 should give us something, but it is not giving us anything. So let us do one more stuff over here. Let me see if I can get this. Okay, I would get into some other folder, cd /home /ubuntu. Okay, and then probably I'll create one more directory, test. Okay, cd test, to see whether it is working or not. I would be doing wget http ://localhost : so what is happening? It says it is not working. Okay, but it is not giving me any basically error. So let me do one more thing to it. I do F12. I should be interested in the error code what it sends. Okay, I'll go into the network. I'll go over here and try this one out. Okay, so what is the response which I am getting? What is this? Man, So let me not do it. Let me show you an easier alternative towards it. Everyone go to Google and type for something called as Postman, and you would be seeing Postman Chrome Web Store. This is like a curl request. Curl request and a REST request, HTTP request. We would get the raw response out of it. Okay. I have this app installed. For you, it would ask you to install this app. Okay. This is very useful for us to send HTTP packets onto some URL. Okay. So I'd be going over here, and I want a GET request on http://:9200. So what is happening? I didn't got any response. Okay, nothing is happening. Okay, but the status is showing as if it is working. Okay, so service Elasticsearch status. What is happening now? It was working, and now suddenly it is failing again. Okay, so let us. What is the other thing which we have to go? Just go back to the same log again. Where logs. Okay, Elasticsearch. Okay, so again the same process. Less global clustering dot log. Let me come down. Now cannot find requested address. Okay, fine. We go with paste. Okay, so this is a place where it will help us. All of this is basically Java based kind of a stuff. Okay, cannot assign requested address. What is this? Okay, and let us go one level above it so that we will see whether how it works. Uncaught exception in the thread. Okay, binding transport exception, cannot assign requested address. So there is something seriously going wrong with respect to requested address. Okay, so what is the place where we have configured address? In the system. Okay, and in the system, what is the IP address which we have given? Public IP address. So probably it might not be a public IP address which we given. Public is a DNS name which we have to give, and the IP address is the local IP address which you need to give. Let us try with that. Okay. Now, where is the configuration file? vi etc Elasticsearch, and then elasticsearch.yml. ఇవాళ నోట్స్లు రాసుకునే వాళ్ళు చాలాసార్లు తప్పులు కొట్టుకోవాల్సి వస్తుంది, ఎందుకంటే నేను చాలా తప్పులే చూపిస్తాను. And probably at the end we might have the right solution. Okay, so node.name till here I don't see any problem. The only thing which I have my suspicion on is node.host, and here I don't want to give a public IP address, rather I want to give a private IP address. Okay, and shift insert and then WQ, and let me do this now. Service Elasticsearch start. Service Elasticsearch status. ఇప్పుడు ఎలాగో స్టార్టింగ్ అనే చూపిస్తుంది, కొంచెంసేపు ఆగి చూద్దాం. Okay, let me try it again. Hopefully running. Now let me go to the Postman and do it on 9200 send. Working? Yes. So now what is the configuration? Node name can be a private name and also a public DNS name. But when it comes to IP address, it has to be your private IP address. That is especially in the case of AWS cloud. If you are working with other VMware kind of machines, in VMware anyway you will not have two IP addresses. You would only give your private IP address. That's how it works. Are we clear? Now you go over to the web and try out the same URL. Okay. So a postman another నేను ఎందుకు చూపించానంటే on this process sometimes you need to do curl commands. So that's the most easiest way to find it out. Okay, we don't have much in the Elasticsearch database because we have not saved anything till now. Okay, so our Elasticsearch is working అన్నదానికి proof ఇది. Okay, so what are the configurations? Node name, cluster name is your choice. I have given global clustering, you can give your clustering. Okay, and when it comes to node name, public DNS name is what I have given, and when it comes to IP address, it is a private IP address. I'm not interested in public IP address. Right, so we are getting this page. Your Elasticsearch installation is finished when you are seeing this. ఇక్కడ వరకు Elasticsearch installation finished. And now one last thing to do before we get into the other installation. Okay, when you restart this, do you want to automatically Elasticsearch service to be started? Yes, and for that we need to enable, right? Okay, so that is the last command of mine on this Elastic servers, which is service Elasticsearch enable, so that even if I restart the machine, I should be able to see this service up. Okay, done. So Elasticsearch, hopefully we have wind it up. Okay, now let us proceed further. We would have this kind of that's what I was telling with respect to engaging installations. Okay, they are not difficult, but they come up with a hell lot of options. Okay, fine. Where are my slides? Yeah. Okay, now we have the other job, installing Logstash. Okay, so Logstash, what we would do is we would install the Logstash server, and Beats will provide us the logs. Beats will ingest us the logs, provide with the logs, and that probably we might write different kinds of configurations, and we might be doing Logstash configuration from that stuff. Okay, so from our Logstash we would be configuring it to the Elasticsearch which we have installed right now. Okay, so this is how Logstash basic configuration looks like. Input, filter, and output. Input and output is from where you will get the input, and from where do you want to send it. Okay, filter is if you want to modify something in between. I want to remove certain things, I want to add certain things, then you would be using the filter stuffs. Okay, and that input, output, and filter in Logstash world is called as plugins. Okay, Logstash plugins and what. Fine. Okay, so there are many plugins that are being supported. For example, if you have what GPS kind of stuff, you would be getting IP addresses, and from the IP address you want to know from which region this traffic is coming. That is generally for the sales kind of analytics. Your website gets requests from multiple IP addresses, right? And your sales is interested in to identify what regions are of interest. For example, this campaign was done for Bahubali also. So if you have heard the producer speaking about it, they have done a social campaign, and they have seen the areas where Bahubali is of interest and where there is not. So if you see, there was not much of advertisement of Bahubali in southern part of India, but if you have watched what was happening in northern part of India, there was too much of advertisements on that, because most of the interest was from the southern states. So they thought that okay, we don't need advertisements over here because people are already interested. So they have touched all the parts of India where people didn't have much of interest, and there they had started advertising it. So that's even Bahubali is considered as an advertisement exercise for many management stuffs, right? So they have used this GeoIP based stuff for them. Okay, but for on YouTube, on the Facebook post which they were trying to do. So that's one different analytics which they have done, but it's okay. Fine. Okay, I'll be coming about this grok filters, GeoIP filters, and all of that. Okay, that is how we use it. I'm interested in installing it. Okay, and later on how to use it is a secondary story. So yeah, fine. Even here, Logstash is a Java application, so we need the same Java to be installed in the same way, and I would be using the same Ubuntu 16 server. So let me launch one more Ubuntu server. Okay, there is no need for the Logstash to be very hefty. Okay, so what I would do is I would take Ubuntu Okay, but I would be taking T2 small. 2 GB is enough for me. If it doesn't work out, then I would install basically go with T2 large or T2 medium and all. Okay, so next. Okay, let me add a tag so that it is known to us. Log stash next. Okay, I would take Elasticsearch itself because anyway all the ports are open. Okay, so review and launch, and I would be taking Ansible. Launch the instances. Okay, I don't want this, but I am interested in instance state and running. Okay, it is already running, right? So let me, and even for this, I want an elastic IP. Okay, because I want even Logstash's IP address also not to be changed, because Logstash's IP addresses will be used on your beats. Okay, so that's the reason I don't want to mess up with Logstash's configuration also. So I'd be creating one more static IP address. And how do I create it? So I'd go to the elastic IP, open the link in new tab because I don't want to get out of this tab. Okay, and I would create allocate new IP address, allocate it. Okay, and after allocation, what is our IP address? This one, right? Now associate this with instance which is Logstash. Associate stuff. Okay, 3 people have given up on Elasticsearch already. Okay, on the online I'm not sure. Yeah, fine. So let me go to instances, and now I would log in because I have an elastic IP which doesn't change. So let us install it and then let us configure it. Okay, fine. Connect. Sure. Okay, so okay, no 2, no 1. Okay, okay, fine. And after that I have to install Java, and for that I will be following 2 or some slides back where we had installing. Yeah, not this. Yeah, I would basically copy this. Yeah, yes, fine, looking good. Yeah, and now let us proceed further. And after that, there are certain commands which I need to do because basically I'm going to install this from the package of Elasticsearch. Okay, so I have to blindly copy this. Yeah, okay, and then okay, did I missed anything? Oh, that was a complete command, is it? Shit. Yeah. So let me do this again. Okay, fine. And now it is very easy for me. I can execute Logstash directly. Apt-get update. Okay, and apt-get install Logstash. Otherwise, you can also download the tar file and do all of this activity, but this is much simpler. Okay. Okay. So far so good. Yeah. Let us see what are the other things which we can do with Logstash. And now to check whether the Logstash is working or not. Okay. Let us get into the Logstash folder and execute a small command. If that is working fine, Logstash is working. And later on, we have to just do configurations. Okay. So Logstash is basically installed on CD share Logstash. Okay. I'm not going to start it as a service, but I'm going to execute a small command, which is this. Okay. Let me basically tell what this command is also. Okay. So let me first copy it in a notepad. Okay. You remember that, right? Logstash has three things, which is input, output, and filter. Okay. Now, if you see, I'm starting a Logstash where my input is standard input. Standard input is something which you type, and output is standard output on the console itself. If this is happening, our Logstash is working. If this is not happening, our Logstash is not installed correctly. So that's the easier test for us to do. It should be giving the input by typing something, and it should respond back by typing or giving the same thing with some or other changes. Okay, let us see whether this works or not. So I'd go over here and type this. Okay, it has given me something. Okay, it takes certain time. Yeah. Okay, fine. Now let me type hello and enter. So am I getting the same thing as output with date stamp and all of this added? So if you are getting this, Logstash is successful. Fine. Yeah. So we have Elasticsearch, we have Logstash. Okay. We are left with beat components and Kibana. Okay. So I will do Control C, it will exit. And I don't have any work to do on this machine further. So I have to think about Kibana now. So I'll be coming out of this machine. All right. Kibana I would try to install on my laptop itself, because that is the same installation anywhere. Yeah. Kibana is a front end. Okay. Very simple. It's nothing but a front end. We are almost there. Okay. So basically, it is a very simple HTML based visualization tool which you can open from any browser, and it is typically written in Node.js. Node.js is a JavaScripting solution for hosting solutions. Okay, it is free. It works great with Elasticsearch. Okay, and it includes already loads and loads of visualization options. So there is nothing much to worry about it. Okay, and it is very easy to create dashboards. Okay, you can easily create it. Predefined dashboards, very easily we can create it. But if it has to do something with a plugin, then that is a place where you need to know how to write plugins, how to include them, and all of that. Okay, but free is more than enough for all of us. Okay, so this was the GeoIP tagging which I was speaking about. So your sales team can know where actually the problem is happening. Okay, because your servers come with IP, public IP address, and with the public IP address you can find out what is your location. That is called as a GeoIP. Okay, so fine. Installing Kibana on Ubuntu is pretty easy, and basically let us see how to do this, right? So here we don't need Java, fortunately, because it works on Node.js. We don't need that stuff. Basically, we need to do much like the same packages which we have added for Logstash. Okay, and let us take the Ubuntu 16 server itself. Even if you want to do it on Red Hat, it is possible. The only thing is I have made my documentations on Ubuntu because I wanted everything to be free, including servers. Okay, on Red Hat also you would have different steps. But elasticsearch.yml files locations, these don't change with the Linux distributions. So your installation steps might vary a bit based out of the list. For example, if I take OpenSUSE, so it might work differently, the steps. But the places where you will have this will not change, generally will not change. Even if they are changing, I have shown you the documentation, right? There it is thoroughly documented on how to and what are the files and where are they present and all of that activities. Yeah. So Kibana, I said I would be doing it on Windows, right? Okay, it's okay. We'll do it on Windows also. So first let us try to set up in Ubuntu server itself and then we'll do it on Windows. Okay. So launch instance Ubuntu 16 and this time I'll be taking a free server itself because I know that Node.js is not that hefty. But whenever you want to do compute intensive graphs and all of that, it is better that you take a better machine than this. Start అయితే అవుతుంది, performance ఎలా ఉంటుందో మనకు తెలియదు. 1 GB RAM తీసుకుంటే it will start. So I take this, do this. I would basically add something called as Kibana. Make sense? All right. Launch. What we're doing with this. And services EC2. Okay, I'm interested in the machines which are only running, right? So I think I have to wait for more. Man. Status text fail any strange. So I'll not even look into why it has failed. Instance state. Terminate. And let me launch one more instance. Very rarely you would get that error. Okay. And the best way to resolve that error is terminate and try a new one. Don't try to correct it. Okay, for the correction of it, you have to look into logs and then you have to basically speak with the customer care support of AWS and to get it resolved. So we don't want to get it that far, right? So let us take the easier route out, which is launch instance, take one more machine. Okay. Even if this fails, then I would be installing Kibana on my Windows machine. That's the easiest solution around. Yeah. Kibana. Okay. Security group, I would take the security group which I have created for Elasticsearch already, where all the traffic is allowed. Okay. Launch. We'll be selecting this and I would be launching the instances of it. Okay. So services EC2 running instances. Start in asla. Yeah. For this, I don't think so. I need a public IP because it's okay. It's very easy to set up. Okay, and Kibana is just a front end. It does not hold any data, so it's okay. Let us wait for the 2x2 checks to be finished. I don't want to take a risk. Yeah. So since I have nothing to do on this machine, I would be fine. So sudo -i and then first thing, always a safer bet, do apt-get update, and then let us get into the presentation and then let us add all of this to the package manager of apt. Okay. Fine. And then this stuff. Okay. So far so good. Let us see what happens later. Same command, apt-get install and apt-get update and apt-get install. In the earlier case, we have used Logstash and now I am using Kibana. Okay. So apt-get update Okay, and apt-get install Kibana. That's it. Okay, fine. And now I have to change this file, and then I have to basically enter certain details about Kibana, and the file over here is etc Kibana and Kibana.yml file. So vi etc Kibana and Kibana.yml file. So basically it says you have to enter server.host, and then you have to enter IP address. Okay, and whenever I have to enter IP address, the safest bet is try to enter private IP address. So what is the private IP address of this machine? Kibana. Okay, so by default, whenever you put it as localhost, right? The problem with this approach is localhost works very well, but only for that machine. No one from the external world will not be able to communicate with that. Okay, so certain times you need that kind of visualization, because you might have configured logging only for your monitoring only for your manager, and no one from the other machine should be able to access it, and only admin who has permission to that, because there you might be tracking really sensitive details. Okay, so it is not that it is a useless configuration, it is a very useful configuration. Yeah, but it deals with something you have to log in into that machine, and then you have to open browser on that machine, only then it works. Okay, so server.host, what are the other details? Okay, server.name. Okay, even in this case, to play it safe, I'd be using private IP address. Okay, if you see server.port, I am not changing it because I am okay with the default port. Okay, fine. The URL of Elasticsearch for all of the instances. Okay, so here basically it will be HTTP colon what do you say, your server's server's name, and then the IP address of it. Let us try it later. If it is not working, I would come to here, and then we would be searching into that. And there are certain other things which are very important, which we need to configure. Okay, for that, okay, elasticsearch.url. Elasticsearch's URL over here. Okay, so let us see where that configuration is. Elasticsearch's URL. And what is Elasticsearch's URL? Okay, let us go into instances, Elasticsearch, and I just need this stuff. Okay. Oh man, what is it I'm messing up? Oh, fine. So localhost బదులు ఆ మెషిన్ పబ్లిక్ DNS నేమ్ కానీ public IP address కానీ. But if it is in your private network, then you can give private IP address also. It works both the ways. Okay, so in your offices you would be giving a private IP over here, but I am giving a public IP because my setup is quite liberate. Okay, you might not have the same privileges or same kind of freedom in your offices where you can give it to everyone. Okay, you want to give it only to the people whom you want and certain customers of it, right? Fine. So are we done? Let us see. Okay, that's it. So we have configured 3 important details, and let us try our luck. Okay, service Kibana start, service Kibana active. Okay, it says it is running. Okay, okay, and then the IP address of that is 5601. Okay, and what is the public IP address of that machine? Public IP address of that Kibana machine is 54, this one, and I would be doing HTTP. Now it will not have any details, because if you remember, our Elasticsearch database is absolutely empty. It doesn't have any details. Okay. This will be able to show visualizations when we configure beats and really start sending some data to it. Okay. So here I want to see if it is just displaying some page or not. Am I getting some page? Yes. So my Kibana installation is also done. Okay. So I'll not be doing anything right now, because I don't want to get into the other aspects of logging, because once you create something, it is basically called as an index, and that index will be created, and every time it will try to search with this index. So let us not create anything. So whenever, until and unless your Elasticsearch database has some records, don't try to open this page. Just see whether it is working or not. Till this page, you are absolutely good. Stop it at that. Okay. And once you have any logs that have sent, it will show you the index patterns over there. అంటే మీ లాగ్స్ ఎలా వచ్చినాయి, లాగ్ స్టాష్ నుండి వచ్చినాయి, ఇలా మన ప్యాటర్న్ నోట్ సెట్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. ఓకే, సో దట్ వి వుడ్ బి సెట్టింగ్. సో టిల్ హియర్ is it good? Yes, we have searched, we have configured, installed Elasticsearch, we have configured it, it is working. We have tested Logstash, it is working. We have installed Kibana and tested, it is working wonderful. So far so good. And now let us, if we get back into our problem statement of the documentation, basically what it was trying to tell, it had to install beat components as well. Okay. And now how do I instrument Windows servers? Okay, from Windows servers I need to configure, or I need to send details of RAM, CPU, disk, event logs, all of these details to my Logstash. Okay, and for doing this I'd be using two beat components, which are winlog beat and metric beat. Okay, so basically whenever we look at basically beat programs, they are generally written in Golang. Golang is from Google, where you really don't need any execution environments. You can download them and start them basically directly. And for the people who have finished Docker is also written in Go language. So that's why it has the capabilities to run cross platform. Okay, so now let me see if I had basically given you steps for downloading and installing winlog beat. So download winlog beat, extract the zip file, and then add some tags, and then send it to the, enable the Logstash configurations, and then try to send it. Okay, it's fine. So I want to download winlog beat file, and then I want to extract this zip file, and then I would be changing the following details. Okay, I would be putting certain tags, and then I would be adding these configurations, and I would enable the Logstash configurations. Okay, so and from PowerShell I will be installing winlogs template by using exactly this command. Okay, so fine, let us download this and let us see what is happening. Okay, win log beat. Okay, win log beat is for sending. How many of you have known this page? Okay, for the people who don't know this page, everything whatever you try to do it on Windows will be logged over here. These are the administrative events. Okay, so these are the errors which it is trying to show. Puppet install అయి ఉందా చూసారా? ఈ అరాచకం ఇప్పుడే తెలిసింది మనకి. Okay, unnecessarily we have installed Puppet, and Puppet is trying to refresh or trying to read through the logs of it. Okay, fine. So application logs, yeah, these are the security logs, these are the setup logs, system logs, forward logs, whatever you do on Windows, right? Generally this is a place where you can find out or what that person is actually doing on Windows. Event log, and we want to send these logs to our Elasticsearch server. So that's the whole idea what we are trying to do. Okay, so winlog general availability release, this is always a better. Preview release, don't ever do it. Okay, because general availability is considered to be more stable. Okay, what is it? Is it Windows 32-bit or Windows 64-bit? కానీ దీనికి లినక్స్ లేదేంటి? Download this, you would get a zip file, Okay, and then any doubt which you have, always go to the GitHub page or on the documentation page. If you go into the GitHub page, he would tell on all of the other details of logs. Okay, or else if you go into the docs page, he would basically tell how to work with this. Okay, ఎందుకంటే ఇవాళ నేను కొన్ని beats చూపిస్తున్నా. Tomorrow while you are working in real time, you might be asked to work on a beats which are not touched in the class itself. Then you would be following the same activities. So here, if you see the overview of it, you would start and saying that this is what it does. Okay, and how do you get start with beats? Okay, installing Windows log beat. Okay, so he's just telling you download the zip file, extract the contents into C program files, winlog beat and version. Okay, rename this and read directory to winlog beat, and let us follow the same exercise. Fine, and let us stick to the documentation of Elasticsearch so that it becomes easy to tomorrow, even if there is a new release. Because remember one thing, you might not have the same way throughout all releases. Your steps might change because this is a very vastly worked area. రోజుకి కొన్ని బీట్స్ వస్తున్నాయి, some errors they are correcting. So you might always see some corrections or some changes, some features stopping, new features coming in, very hugely worked area. So we go to the downloads file, we have this. So what is that he has asked us to do? Extract this file, right? And then we would have winlog beat, and in this we have this. He had asked us to rename this as winlog beat. Okay, and go to the winlog beat. Okay, copy or cut it and paste it in C drive, program files. Let me see if I have it already. No, I don't have it, so I'd paste it over. Okay, so the first step based out of this, I have followed it. C program files, and I've created a folder called as winlog beat, and in winlog beat I have all of this. And now from the PowerShell prompt, he's asking me to run this command, C programs winlog beat. Okay, and then he's asking me to install this service of PowerShell file. Fine. Now to do this, always a better way is try to run your PowerShell as an administrator. This is especially required whenever you are working with any version above Windows 7. Okay, Win XP link work cheyam kabatti manaki ఇది mandatory step. Even though if you are working on Windows 10, do it. If you are on Windows 8, I am sorry, please upgrade to Windows 10 or downgrade to Windows 7. Windows 8 is not the place to stay. Okay, so cd c program files. So this is a place, and in this, man, winlog beat. And now what is that he's asking? He's asking me to run something called as install service Windows log beat. Okay, and then the moment you do it, it would start. But let us go back to our documentation, what I had to say about it. Okay, before you do it, you extract, it makes some changes in winlog beat because it sends certain information to certain other services. Okay, so for that reason, what I would do is I would go and find out where is my winlog beat.yml file. Am I seeing YML file? Yes, I'll edit it with Notepad. Baboy, font ever ఇంత అద్భుతంగా క్రియేట్. Let me do it in my way. Okay, so I'd rather prefer it in Visual Studio Code. Okay, fine, winlog beat.yml file. Okay, and then it says that in winlog beats you would be sending application logs which are not older than 72 hours. Okay, but if you want, you can enable other logs also. For example, if you want security logs, audit logs, and all of that. So, but for now, what is enabled? Only application logs. Okay, and now what is written in the documentation? You are supposed to basically create a tags which is US East 1. Okay, so I'll be going over here and creating a log which is US East 1. This is just to simulate that this machine is from US East 1 ante. Okay, the whole actual idea of this presentation was to create a Windows server in US East 1 region and there do this activity, because that turns out to be more costlier. I'm doing it on my laptop. But if you want to have a real essence of it, you can create a Windows server in EC2 machine in US East 1 region and then have this setup. That's the actual purpose of what I have written it over there. Okay, and then what is it? Fields. Fields are global environment and then production. So let me see if I have something called as fields over there. Okay, Unaya, fields. And what is it I have to do? I have to enable fields and then I have to write about global environment. Okay, global underscore environment, and then you can call it as a production machine or a staging machine, whatever makes sense to you. Okay, good. And then enable Logstash configuration. So where is Logstash over here? Output.elasticsearch, output.logstash. If you want to send the output to the Logstash, okay, you have to enable this part. But the default one is it sends output directly to Elasticsearch server. But as I said, we are not looking out for that. So I would comment that and I'd come back to output.logstash. I would enable this. And what is the host for the Logstash file? I think we know the public IP address of that Logstash machine, right? For that we have to fall back to EC2 machine, Logstash. This is a public IP address. Go over here and then do this. Fine. Okay. And rest of the things I'm not really worried about all of this. Okay, watch loggings to be selected. If you want to do, you can set further level configurations, but it's okay. We want to send our application event logs to the Logstash server. Okay, till here, good. Okay, we have configured it. And now, what is left? Okay, now basically what you have to do is you have to execute this command where you give winlog beats template. You have to download it from your Elasticsearch server. Okay, so let us just go through about this in your documentation also. Where is the documentation? Okay, this is installing, configuring winlog beat. You are seeing, right? You can configure system logs, security logs, and if you want to basically put it out to Elasticsearch, this is what you need to do. Configuring winlog beat to use Logstash. This is what we are trying to do. Ours is step 3. And now see what he has to tell. He's just telling that use wherever your Logstash is, and then come to over here and loading the index template in Elasticsearch server. In Elasticsearch server, there are index templates, and basically we have to load it. Okay, so if you are using the stuff, this is the way, but the better way is this is a manual way of doing it. Okay, so if you disable automatic template loading, you need to run this to load the template. Okay, now let us see the command which we have written. Invoke. That's the reason. I am working on a older version of PowerShell where there is no invoke web request. So that's why last time in the class it has not worked. Okay. Fine. I'll do one thing. I'll stop it at that logically and let me upgrade the PowerShell to the latest one. Tomorrow I want you to upgrade the PowerShell to the latest PowerShell version. Install JND so that we would get this invoke web request. Okay. Windows 7 has a earlier version of PowerShell. I want it to be upgraded to the latest version. You would not get the same problem if you are using Windows 10. Because in Windows 10 PowerShell, if you see invoke and try to see this command, you would have a history of the activities. Now I don't have that. If you see invoke WI, it doesn't have web request method. So that's why last time we were unable to do it. Okay. So PowerShell I would upgrade chesandi, and I would continue from this point. I would invoke that. Now basically what has to happen is, ఈ winlog has to reach to Elasticsearch, right? And for that I need a template, and that template I am trying to download it from Elasticsearch server, and I would be sending it based out of that template. That's a whole activity, and for this has to work. Since this is a winlog bit, I can't simulate this activity on another machine. I have to upgrade it a PowerShell. Okay, meager way is like specified in the documentation of it. Okay, if you don't want to do all of this stuffs, okay, you can go over here. Okay, and then you have to tell what is the template name and all. But the problem with this approach is it works only when your output is Elasticsearch, but our output is Logstash. So that's why for us it is no other alternative. We have to download that template or load that template manually. అదే మన Elasticsearch చేసినప్పుడు మనకి this was not a problem at all, because our output is Elasticsearch and we can basically download the template from there. So I would basically stop our class exactly at this point, and we would continue from here. Okay.